Hey girl.
Hello? Hey, girl, hold on one second. Let me just stop this. Watch my Grey's Anatomy.
They still
That's my
make that
show.
show or are you watching a rerun?
Watching the reruns, I have so much to catch up on. Shows I've just
Yeah,
been,
'cause
yeah,
it has forever
one thing
seasons,
at a
right?
time. One thing at a time. So, because let me tell you, it's a good show. Finally on season 14. They're like on season 17, I think, or something like that. And I got a ways to go, but my husband can't stand it. So he just, it's too much of a
Oh,
chick
man.
show, he says. Whatever.
No way. I know guys that are into that.
So do I, and it just proved my point because we had someone over the other day. He was like, "Yeah, I'm actually been watching Grey's Anatomy," and he looked at me like I was like, "You see?"
For real.
But yes, ma'am, we're here. It's already time. What's good? What's good?
Well, guys, uh, it's your favorite Jedi goddess, BMF goddess, with the lovely Yadira co-hosting tonight. Please call
Hello, hello.
in and be part of the convo. It's a good one.
Yes.
Um, how are you, Yadi? How was your COVID Christmas? Please.
My little
What I mean
COVID
by that
Christmas.
is obviously just everybody's Christmas was affected by COVID. I know
Yes,
nobody had,
of course.
you know.
No, no one has COVID in my house. But yeah, it was low key. Kids got what they wanted and I cooked. So it was low key quiet. Can't ask for more,
That's
right?
good. Yeah, I actually people asked me if I got what I wanted. I said, yeah, I wanted peace. I got it. And they laughed, but really that was enough for me.
Amen. Let me tell you
So
something.
I
That's
feel
probably like
you.
one of the best ones. Like I was actually in my house. I didn't go anywhere. Even Christmas Eve, because Christmas Eve I'm always at my mom's, and it sucked that I couldn't really be with her this year, but we had to do what I told her, for my own protection and her own, we had to keep it, at a distance and stuff because I can't be traveling out to New York right now. So, well, I am going to break that rule though on Friday because I got to go pick up my son. I got to pick up my baby and stuff. So,
I just noticed I had to change the hashtags because um it said the Wonder Woman shit. I forgot to change it. All right, let's get into this. Um, excuse me. I was reading messages. So sorry.
no, no,
Tonight's
that's fine.
topic tonight's topic is about the misuse of words that can hurt when we don't think before we speak, how that can seriously affect others and even the ripple effect it can have in somebody's life. I'm going to start with the actual definition of verbal abuse. Verbal abuse is when someone uses words, to demean or frighten or control someone. You're likely to hear about this problem in the context of romantic relationships or parent child, but it happens in friendships, business relationships. It happens in every type of relationship, none of which are acceptable, obviously. When it
Hmm.
an example, let me see. When it for those instances when it happens just in passing where it's not repetitive, it's different when it comes to let's say prolonged verbal abuse. The effects, like when verbal abuse is constant and severe, it creates a big risk of post traumatic stress disorder, which a lot of people don't know. The same type of psychological collapse that is normally experienced by our soldiers, the ones that go to battle. So,
Hmm. PTSD
Yadi,
is real.
do you have any examples of a time when you experienced verbal abuse or like just careless words that really hurt you or got to you?
I don't consider what I've gotten through. Ooh, feedback there. Hold on one second. How do I get this feedback off? Ooh, all right. Sorry.
Okay.
So what I see how I is maybe verbal abuse is when I was going through divorce. You know, you say things that necessarily you just don't mean, but you just say it in the heat of the moment in arguments. And I think that sometimes that can be construed as verbal abuse, but now looking back to those instances is like, I just don't love you. I just need, I need to get away from you. I'm done. And it's just certain things that I think you're not prepared to hear or strong enough to hear.
Right.
But I've gotten over it. I've gotten stronger. It could only make you stronger, or it could really, really wear you down to the point that it makes you double think who you are as a person. So the red flags, like if someone insults you to humiliate you, maybe in like high school growing up, and that's that bullying going and, comes into play when someone makes you feel little, or
Right.
then they accuse you of being so oversensitive, because that I've heard that word thrown out to me sometimes. And
Yeah. And it happens
in a
in
way,
different settings, right?
yes, it does. And that's not even a verbal abuse kind of thing. It's just more of like, oh, you're just being sensitive, insensitive, and
Right. It's
constantly
almost
screaming.
that falls into the category of just think before you speak.
Absolutely. And in the heat of a moment, sometimes people don't stop, think about what they're saying before they say it. Because that's something I'm so huge on. I like to talk things out. If something pisses me off, I rather like
You're a
talk
communicator,
it out.
much like
Yeah,
myself.
because it's very hard sometimes. But what about those arguments that you just feel you can't speak on the subject right
Yeah.
then and there?
Trust me,
You know,
everyone is guilty of this, including myself. Have said things to people that we wish, we could retract or hadn't done in the first place. Everybody has done it or does it, but
or
like
arguments
an
that take you by surprise. Yeah.
there's levels to it. Yeah.
Simple disagreements could, initial disagreement could blow up into something else. Or if there's unresolved issues that just kind of trickle over. Oh, you didn't clean the pots.
Yeah.
This is something stupid. This is just an example. Oh, you didn't clean the pots today, and you promised that you would, and you didn't do it because you were playing too long, or whatever the case is. And then something else happens, and you bring that up. You know what? I'm gonna confessional. I am very guilty of that sometimes. I hold things in, and then I'll bring shit up when I shouldn't bring it up.
Well,
And I think,
you're woman enough to admit that, and it's
no,
obviously
I
something that
do.
you already know, so you try to work on.
Yes, and I
At
have
least you're
tried
aware.
to work on it.
Yeah.
Because it's something I think us I'm not gonna generalize that as it's just a woman thing or anything else like that, but sometimes we hold things in or just over emotional about it or
Yes,
just feel a type of way or you take something differently,
I agree.
something that's said. Like, oh, yeah, this is stupid, but I'm gonna say, oh, this is undercooked. Oh, you're trying to say my cooking shit? Like it, we take things personal. Like no, it's the truth. Like we're gonna take something personal and just the thought process in itself. No, it's you have to think
I
about
laugh
it.
more because I just had a podcast with Chef Wolf, and he was talking about people who thought their food was good, and he's a chef, so he's very Gordon Ramsay, and you just gave an example that just made me think back to him being talking about that subject.
Yeah, it's silly, but it's true, isn't it? Like you
It
try not, and
is.
then it's also like you try not to hurt a person, but intentionally, and that's how those misconceptions, think uh, just like your title, think before you speak. But I think sometimes, like myself, I really don't think before I speak. I've come to the point in my life now that I strike when the iron's hot. I don't like to dwell on it no more. I really feel like if I have a problem, I should just state it. Like, hey, goddess, not for nothing. I didn't like the way
Right.
you said something this day. And I feel like I shouldn't feel like I should hold punches. Like at this point in my life, I'm not getting
That's right.
any younger.
That's right.
There's so much shit that's happening right now in this world that honestly we gotta appreciate each other, and just to appreciation goes a long way. And as far as just speaking your mind, I feel like I shouldn't hold back. If I hold back, I feel like it boils up, you know? It's like a pot. It gets
Yeah.
hot, so hot that
These
it
ex-
boils over.
these experiences in life are what cause you to be pushed to that point where you're like, okay, I'm not holding no more shit in, which is good. Not so good
Yeah,
for the people that gotta hear it, but it's good. And
absolutely. But
you couldn't be more right about that. I agree.
and then you argue with these people sometimes that you could never be right. There is no, I'm gonna have to say it, but I have a certain
Oh
mother-in-law.
yes. You're preaching right now. You are
You
preaching right
know, like
now.
you're never right, you're never, or they're never wrong, or what they said. Like I know I'm the queen of saying what's on her mind, but like I said, I have a perfect mother-in-law, for instance, that says things that are totally left field, that are totally inappropriate, that shouldn't be brought up. And
That you just know are word vomit because she's not. There's no thought in these words whatsoever.
yeah, and I
Hmm.
think in that in itself, her being a battered woman, I guess the whole verbal abuse that she received for so long, it just, you don't
Yeah,
know how to
it
act.
can affect you in that way. I know exactly what you mean in the way that it kind of starts to trigger off into your own personality unwillingly, but
Yeah,
there's also a line there.
absolutely.
There's a
And
line
that's
where,
when
okay,
you could actually acknowledge it, then that's a process of healing. Then you you
yes,
you just say to yourself, like, I've been in so many verbal abusive relationships that maybe my mouth could be a little bit too much. Or maybe I'm so quick to, like, I'm gonna punch this bitch in her face. Like like when I see her. Like,
I used
I
to
know when
be.
I first met you, you were hot.
Definitely.
Yeah,
I
no one
was
could
way
cross
worse.
you.
I consider myself to be way more laid back now. I really,
Oh yeah.
that's like the last resort. I don't want to get to violence.
Nor should
At
you. It's like I told you, for other instances, it's not worth it. At the end of the day,
all, I'm
we
sorry,
grown
God.
folk now. No, we grown, excuse me, but like we grown folk now. Like, at what point do you leave that street shit in the street? Like, it's just, I got kids, they're grown, down the line, way down the line, I'll have grandkids. I have to conduct myself in a manner. I have to practice what I preach to these children. Like, I can't tell my kids, oh, don't be popping off with these people. Don't just go up to them and punch them in the face or anything else like that. How about you think about what you're gonna say before you say it? And
That's
how
true.
am I any different if I'm yelling at these kids, or just saying whatever's at the top of my mouth? Like, it
That's a,
it hurts
that's a good
children. I
point.
can only imagine as adults, we handle it different.
Yeah.
And yeah, when I first met you, yeah, you were real quick to be like, I'll punch a bitch in the face, like in an instant.
I will still tell you that, but it'll only be me ranting about it, not actually
Hmm.
wanting to do
Hmm.
it.
I know, but still, like,
Yeah.
it just
Last
calmed down a whole
resort.
lot. Hmm.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
I appreciate that.
No, no, but ideally,
I
it's like, no, BMF
I'm
got it
just
to you,
laughing because it's true, but I appreciate you recognizing that though.
No, but no, I've
Because
seen it,
people will still
through the
swear
years.
I'm rough around the edges, but really I'm a sweetheart. um, Let me see here. Growing up, we've always heard the infamous sticks and stones may break your bones, but words may never hurt me. Well, honestly, I believe that to be very misleading. And as we grow up, we all learn the truths. Sticks and stones, right? But words can really break you, even if you are strong. I'm going to play this message.
Yes.
So I go by the old fashioned saying that I'm going to leave the argument right now because I'd rather walk away and not say something I'll regret later. And as for like holding that in and like saying the things you shouldn't say, Yadi, does that include like saving video games that are over saving your partner's game? Just asking for a friend.
I'm gonna smack him. Because he's talking about me. I was talking about that in the status recently. He likes to be attacked.
Listen, I, it's been known I have a gamer husband. I do. Goddess, you know this. And
Yeah.
it has led to many arguments, lots of like heated, misconstrued, maybe sensitive in my part. Like, what about me, me? Because, we women, we want our attention. Okay. I don't know if like that for
Yeah.
you, Goddess, but for me, I need that attention. I'm sorry. Like, I know you
No,
work,
from
but
your
shit,
standpoint, yeah, I understand that definitely.
you know,
You-
um, we're creatures of habit, and so am I. And when the roles were reversed, and I was the one working, and he was home taking care of the kids and doing the thing, and of course, when everything was done, his downtime was to play. But shit, I wanted my time too, and my husband's very quick to say things that are on top of his head too. And I think we've rubbed off a lot on each other throughout the years, I have to
Yeah,
say. So,
that's how it
you
goes.
know, it goes as yeah, the story goes, you tend to rub off on your partner, and he's hot-headed sometimes, and now I could say I'm just as hot-headed sometimes when it comes to each other. Like, we go toe to toe in the most
Yeah,
best way, of course. It's a loving way. It's never been an verbal abusive kind of thing ever. It's never taken that.
exactly. And even when it does get ugly, you guys, your marriage is strong and you guys work it out at the end of the day. So,
Yeah. And then, of course, words do hurt, and I've been known to, if he said things that he didn't mean, it hurts. It does hurt. Words do hurt. They really do. And being a kid
sometimes
growing up,
even when we forgive them, it stays with us, right? Because it does for me.
absolutely, absolutely, you gotta, and it might even come up on another day, another stupid argument, and be like, you know what? I remember when you said this on this day, and it's not that we purposely want to bring it up, but
Yeah,
shit, like
yeah.
it's gonna come up again.
It shows
And
how long damage can continue. Yeah.
absolutely. And like I said, I could honestly say from my standpoint and my life, growing up as a kid, um, I bloomed. But you have those ugly duckling phases when you're younger. And when I was a kid growing up, man, like being called bucktooth for when I had braces. Oh, you can't mess with Yadi because, she'll cut you. You can't kiss her 'cause she'll cut you. Like some things just to this
Yeah.
day, I look at that, like they might be your friends on Facebook or Instagram, and you'd be like, you know what? Not for nothing. I'm actually friends with my bully from junior high school. And she was just mean to me for no
That's
reason. She
noble
was,
of you. Yeah.
yes, she was just mean to me growing up, like for no reason. I think like her friend, he liked me, and I started dating him for a little bit, and I just couldn't mess with him. I don't know, like,
It's
junior
that
high school.
shade. It's that young shade. We're still evolving, and even that you probably could have took with you come down the line because that, especially when you're younger, you're much more impressionable. So that's harder to deal with. I couldn't be a kid today.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
But, it's like when you're a kid, they hurt, and I laugh because you look, what about me now? Like I see you looking at my Instagram photos now. Yes, and this girl got straight teeth, boo. All those years they used to pick on me, and you don't know that those braces hurt. Like, putting those things on and getting them tightened, and like the ugly duckling phase, how I say it, it's like, oh, I gotta come up now, like, oh yeah, you sweating me now, like kiss my ass. But growing
Yeah.
up, that hurt, and you don't realize like how much I used to go home and cry, and or just there's a language barrier with my mom, because she only speaks Spanish, so it's like it's not like I could talk to her. I got old school mommy,
And that probably
and
fed. defend the fact that you are so reserved and what you were so reserved and would hold things in for a while before it would just come out.
Yeah, because I grew up that way. Like even even with my own mom, there's problems at school. I never told her that there were problems at school. I got jumped, and she didn't even know I got jumped until like later on that day.
Oh man.
And it was only because my friend's mom called her mom, and it was like, the whole train effect
Yeah.
kind of thing. And my mom pretty much beat my ass because she was like, "How dare you not even tell me?" And I had to find out through someone else. And I just, well, mom, like, what was I gonna say? But I still remember that to this day. I'm 40 years old, and I still remember getting jumped at school. Walking to, I will never forget. I'm in the hallways. The girl's like, you know what? How old school it is. I'll meet you outside. I'm gonna kick your ass. I was like, for what? I didn't do nothing. I really didn't do anything. And at the bus stop, lo and behold, there was a whole group. It was the stupidest fight, maybe one or two punches. I was on the floor, and just because I fell on the floor because there were so
I've
many
been in those.
kids. Yeah, like there's so many kids, they're pushing you and stuff, and I fell on the floor and I fell back. And because I fell back before she won, I was like, I got up, dusted myself off, tucked my shirt in because she kind of like pulled it out, and I just walked away. It was the most stupidest fight. But
Yeah.
I never told my mom. And when I got home, I didn't say anything. I just went to the room like I always did, watched TV, waited for dinner. And then there's a phone call. And my mom came in the room like, "You got into a fight today?" And I said, "Yeah." And she goes, "Why didn't you tell me?" Because those are certain things you just don't talk about. It's like, it's whatever.
Or you
But they
don't
were
feel,
both
yeah.
but that verbal abuse that I got that day, like, just talking about my braces or how I looked, or I didn't have the new sneakers or the new, God knows what style we had back in the early like
That's
late
what I'm saying. I
80s,
could
90s.
say how very entitled they are, how they treat each
Oh,
other.
absolutely. And I think it's so much worse now because now they have more access to you. It doesn't just stop at the schools. You have Facebook,
Yeah.
you have
It's
Instagram,
all
there's Snapchat.
like
And then
bully each other on social media. Yeah.
absolutely. We talked about that too, the dilemmas with social media. That goes on to talking before you say something. It goes deep, those words hurt.
You
And
could play that
nowadays,
message.
all right, hold on.
See, here's the thing, right? Back in the day, we fought for purpose. Us as adults, we fought for purpose. We have reason for our fights. Nowadays, kids fight because they get breathed on wrong or they get looked at wrong. And, yeah, words do hurt and words stick with you. We all know this. Like, if you know my story and, you know, God can tell you that, some things they do hurt. But I do have such a thick skin where I don't care what people think about me at the end of the day. God has hurts my feelings every day, but I still love her.
Goddess, how
He's
dare
so
you?
silly. Um, I know what you mean by the thick skin because I definitely let shit roll off of me. But there is still some part deep inside me that's like, ouch, that was fucked up. And I don't care what anybody says. Everybody feels that shit. It doesn't leave physical scars, but those go away a lot easier. And from someone like myself who is very familiar with all kinds of abuse, I stand firm on that fact. And what do you think,
Mm.
Yadi?
I, listen, scars are
When it
scars,
comes
whether they're
between
emotional or physical.
physical
Yeah.
and inside, which one do you feel is easier for to go away?
How I joke around, I say, I'd rather you just punch me in the face rather than like hurt me. Because emotional, that's hard. That you can't just get over that.
Yeah, exactly. Uh,
There's people that have to go to therapists and got to sit on that leather couch and talk to a therapist for a long time because of something that someone said 5 years ago. Why is that still a thing? Because Emotional scars are deep, man.
Yeah, and the fucked up thing is you almost have no control about how it affects you. Sometimes you don't even know that it was that has you behaving a certain way or feeling a certain way. That's how deep it could go. Like you have no idea why you are behaving the way you are or why you react to certain people the way you do because of something that somebody embedded in you.
Oh yeah, that's why it's so hard for these kids nowadays. Like they don't realize how, listen, words hurt even from a child to an adult, okay? Like a kid coming up to you, perfect example, that 8 ball jacket guy. You remember the 8 ball jacket guy? That the girl was just going in on him, like saying how
Oh
busted it
yeah,
looked.
that's funny. I
And
just seen a meme with him today. Why?
because it resurfaced recently. I don't know why, but
Oh
I
my
guess
gosh,
everyone, it just resurfaced. And
unbelievable.
he wasn't doing anything. He was just on the train. And all of a sudden, she just goes in on how dumb the 8 ball jacket. Yo, let me tell you something. That 8 ball jacket was hot. And I used
First,
to, back in the day,
I
that was
was just gonna
expensive.
say, fuck out of here. That was even
And
now. Like all our fashion has been recycled. So seriously, shut the fuck up. Cause half the shit we
oh, but
wear now was cool back then or before their time.
well, everything gets recycled every like couple years. It gets recycled. Maybe they put a different color on it or a different spin, but it's always the same shit. Like it really is.
If you're
And
getting views, then you know, kudos to you
and and she
at the
was going
expense
in
of
on him.
somebody else. Right?
And she was going in on him about his 8 ball jacket, and he took it. He was man enough to take it. But the minute that she even came to him and his face and touched him, he went
Yeah.
ballistic. But that's why it was kind of thrown out of court for him because they saw the videos. Because that's what they do. Those cameras were out.
Yeah, yeah. And then
That's why I'm
she
glad I'm not a child nowadays. Because they got everything on lock.
that's what I'm
And
saying.
they will pass that video and it will go viral. And that's an abuse in itself. It's not just a verbal. That's now it's almost like normal for them to do. And that's scary to me.
It is.
But let's see.
The
How
effect
about those?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just like, even think before you speak. What about those surprise arguments that just come out of nowhere? An insult to humiliate you, or
The
set in a
effects of
joke.
yeah.
People joking around and thinking that,
Or
oh,
that
in their attempt to be funny, but it's not. That's like an abuse in itself, like bad humor at your expense.
that's another good point.
But like those personal attacks, we could go on and on about the name calling, the things that don't happen every day, because that's pretty much how what happens. Like name calling is like the worst, I think, because you don't. Sometimes people say it and they don't realize that they're saying it,
Yeah,
and oh, you're just too dumb.
very
You don't get
much,
it.
very often actually.
Yeah, like you're just too dumb. You don't get it. I don't need a PhD to tell me like what you're saying to me is not right.
The effects negative words can have on people are some of the following: a broken spirit, loss of confidence, loss of self-worth, and some possibly lose their mind. Anxiety issues, the list goes on. The problem is your words can seem harmless to you, but have an adverse strong effect on the opposite person. For example, I can say, Yadi, your hair looks nice, but you can do it better. Or if you tell somebody, oh, you gained weight, to you, or jokingly be like, hey, you got fat, like to you, that may be, it's not that serious. To somebody else, they'll go home and be like, fuck, I hate myself.
Please don't get me started. Going to Puerto Rico will probably get like a see my old tias. Ay, you're so pretty, but wow, you gained some weight. That hurts.
Yeah.
They don't
Or the
realize they're saying it, but it
back in it, I
hurts.
haven't heard it in a really long time. Back in the day, like so I think in my early 20s, because I've always been fluffy, and I've always loved myself regardless. I've never not been loved because of how I am or how I look. And at the end of the day, truthfully, the way I love myself and the way you love yourself is the most important. But I used to hear that, oh, you're mad beautiful for big girl, whatever. And for me, that's like, the fuck you mean? I'm beautiful regardless. I
Mhm.
used to always think that. See, me, I didn't take it as offense, but I know people that do. So
Mhm.
just because you said that, I just wanted to add that in there.
Yeah. Like those simple backhanded compliments. You're so pretty, but you could lose a little weight. Or like,
Yeah,
your hair looks so nice,
people
but you
don't
need to wash it
realize
a little bit
those are
more.
that's a perfect example.
Like
There's
that
ways
just
to
gives
be careful. The number one way is to think. Stop before the words leave your fucking mouth. I know it must be magic to comprehend this for some. I really think how it will, you there?
Yeah, can you
Can you
hear
hear
me?
me? Okay, sorry. Yeah, I lost
No?
service.
Oh, it's
Fuck
okay.
your phone. My phone is on life support. I gotta do something about that.
Oh my goodness. So
I
where
was
were we?
asking if you had anything to add to that. I said the number one way to try to avoid this problem is to think, obviously, before you say what you say, or how it's gonna affect that person, or
No.
just put
I
your foot in the other shoe.
I think in order to avoid these kind of issues, the biggest moment is to take a step back. Really, like, people don't realize that taking a couple of minutes, just a couple of minutes, just makes a big difference. Like, okay, is this really worth fighting over? Is this really worth it? Like, what the issue is at hand? Is there a different way? Is there a different way to go about that? I don't have to say what I really want to say, or cursing, or making this person feel little about themselves, belittling, or giving them kind of some stress or anxiety and make them feel a certain type of way about themselves. All it takes is a couple of minutes. And I think I've gotten a whole lot better with that. And I think throughout my career, that's something I spent so much time listening that I got better at listening. Once you're a good listener, you'll be a better arguer, if that makes sense.
It does. I completely agree. I love that.
Because if you really sit, we listen, we all got
Because
opinions like we all got assholes, right? So if it's hence why we do these podcasts, right? Because everyone got an opinion. We love to hear everyone's, input. But at the same time, like I said, all it takes is that few minutes just to listen. Like, okay, All right, my husband's queen. I'm queen of that. Like I go on and on and on, and like he'll stop me, be like, all right, are you done? Can I speak now? And once I get it all out, and that's what I tell him, like, just let me get it all out. Once I get it all out, then it
You
opens
can
the
really
lines.
go. Yeah.
Yes, then we could really talk. Because usually why these arguments happen or this pettiness is because there's a lack of communication or, you know,
Yes.
bullies or just something they like more than or maybe, hey, when it was when we were younger, maybe that boy liked you or maybe that girl liked you or, you know, I miss those days that we were kind of like I joked about it before, like, yo, just send me a letter that says, "Do you like me? Yes or no?" So that so I know what's up. Take out the questions and that's gonna go into my head. Like, don't leave me in the dark. Just let me know. Like I think
Yeah.
I was pretty like, even with you, I even told you like, yo, if I ever come across to you any way, type of form, just let me know. I know for a little bit we stopped talking, but that was just because I had to deal with my own shit, like this whole
Yeah.
transition
And
into this life was even just a transition
it
with
was
my
a lot
disability. Yeah, I had a lot on my plate, and it's just like I just
at
had to,
once. Yeah.
yeah, I had to find me again, and I still, I have a long ways to go. I'm still trying to find what my place is in this world, so to speak, because I'm 40 years old and I still don't know. I'm
Hey,
disabled. I'm a
I
woman.
believe there's
I don't want
no
that. I don't want that to be just my
actually
definition.
watching the movie Soul, which I'm gonna do that on another topic, but watching that made me see. I mean, the message that I got from it was that the guy, he was going for his goal in life, and really, it's not all about that. It's about how you live. So it's all right if you're this age and you don't feel that yet, or you don't know. Like that doesn't mean there's something wrong with you, or
Mm.
you have to
I
feel
was
like
girl. I took that movie to my soul because I bawled like a baby.
yeah.
Bawled like a baby. And you know what? The parts that my husband saw, he was like, wow, I really got to watch this with you because he had to go to work. So he was like, I really got to sit down and watch with you because it looks really good. And I know that wasn't our topic to talk about movies, but let me
It-
tell you, that is a must on anyone's.
yeah.
I'm going to buy that when it comes out
For real, I
because
mean, they make these movies for children, but really it's for adults too. They won't
no,
be
but
able
that
to
one
understand it until they're older.
no, and it's just the meaning behind that. But that kind of ties into the words, right? Thinking before you talk, and you can go back and say, "Oh, I wish I didn't." It's not like the movies. You can't go back and say, "Shit, I wish I didn't say that. I wish I didn't, do this to this person." Or that's something that
Yeah,
I
because the
think
damage
as
has already been done.
words,
But at the
like you
same
said,
time,
words cannot.
knowing that you made your mistake and trying to preventing it the next time says a lot.
You know how I joke with my husband and I say, words are like daggers at times, and we have to sometimes with each other be like,
For
I love
sure.
you so much, but I'm not gonna try to hurt you. Like we're not in it to hurt you, but yeah, like words can really cut deep and they stay with you. People don't realize that those words, they're like haunting. And
Yeah,
for some people, those are their last words. And they can't take back, oh my God, I wish I didn't say this to this person. And life is too
that's
short,
true.
Hey, we're going through this pandemic right now, don't you kind of
That's
just wish that you didn't say
that's
what
another
you
good
said to that
point.
person?
Has this
You know,
pandemic changed people? Not really, and that's even more sad.
and it's a shame
I mean,
because
let's be honest. When you're in a heated argument, you don't. Oh, most of the time you're just like, I don't give a fuck. Fuck you, and you want to say it. Just all comes out the wrong way. But that's just is not an excuse though, or a justification.
And people are not made of stone. I know some people act real hard and ain't nothing to phase me. Whatever she says, she could say whatever she wants to, or he could say whatever he wants. It's not going to phase me, nothing whatsoever. Yes, it will. It
Yeah,
stains. It's like a stain that you can't get off a white shirt. Like it's, it will stay. It could be gone. It could be faded.
especially if you know it's there or if you're not healing from it.
Yeah. And that's the whole point of healing too, is knowing, okay, wow, I really hurt some people in my day, and I wish I could take back some things. And there's some people that, you know what? They deserve it. I'm sorry. Some people just deserve it,
Yeah,
and they need to be told. And you said what you had to do, and I could lay my head on my pillow and be okay. And that's how I see it. If I could lay my head on my pillow without a care in the world, then it was a good day. Great day.
absolutely. And those
Because
who
you
have
don't
been
deserve
hurt, the number one thing you need to know is that what they say to you has nothing to do with you and everything to do with them and their words and actions. And number two,
absolutely.
they do make the conscious choice to say those things, but understand this. Human that human is experience a problem within themselves, not saying jump into love and compassion for them because of this, but knowing that, can definitely help you roll the insults or pain off your shoulders so you don't, carry it. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
there's a YouTube video that's called What to Say When Someone Insults You. I recommend. Don't
Mm-hmm.
fall for the temptation to sink to their level either. It's
Oh,
hard. It's very hard. But don't do it. Two wrongs never make a right.
yeah. And I think I read something somewhere. Oh, yeah, I have it here. It says, you're likely to hear about verbal abuse in the context of a romantic relationship or a parent-child relationship, but it could also occur in other family relationships, socially, or on the job. And let me tell you, if I could go into the job about the emotional abuse that you can
In the
honestly do
workplace, hell yeah. I'm
on the
sure
workplace, in the workplace, oh my goodness. Only because, like I said, I was on the other end. I was the boss. I was the HR lady. I was the one who had to like
deal with
extinguish
everybody's
these
complaints and
fires.
bullshit. Yeah.
I had to extinguish these fires, and I did have a boss that he he had a very rich boy mentality. You understand? I'm too rich that you know what I own. He would
Horrible.
say, I own a quarter of this company. It doesn't matter what I say because it's not like I'm gonna lose my job. I own this place. And
Oh, that's great.
yeah, he was a dick. But I
Very
understood him
business
and
savvy.
yeah, very
Unbelievable.
business savvy. He was a nightmare for me. But I have to say though, I think towards the end of that job for me, he did realize a lot of his wrongs and I checked him a lot. A lot. It was exhausting at times. And I told him, yeah, you might own 25%, 2%. I don't care what percentage it is, but you have to be careful because you could bring this company down with that. Because that's why they have those lawyers.
Yeah.
And that is a lawsuit in itself.
I have a
So,
story from a friend who said it was okay for me to share this story.
okay.
Um, this is Dash from Germany. I was all right. Dash said I was suffering from PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, from
Mm-hmm.
a sexual assault when my partner kept yelling, "Get out of your mood! Stop being a fucking depressed brat, and get the fuck out, you lazy fuck." I shut down completely and I believed I was a sorry excuse for a human. A year later, I came out as non binary, trans masculine, which they did not accept, even though it was no surprise. Changing who I was saved my life. I'm now free and gave me the strength to wake up, stand up, and say no more. And I feel for you, Dash. Thank you for
Mhm.
sharing that. And yeah, that person didn't deserve your time, especially after when you're suffering. You're already. They know you're already suffering PTSD, and they add to that.
Mm.
That says a lot about them.
And like I said, it could happen in the workplace. It could happen online. I think even more so now online because people hide behind their keyboards and they feel that they could say whatever they want. Like I've said it before, the internet gangsters, and they could say what they want because they're untouchable. They're behind a keyboard. What you gonna do? And that they don't realize that sometimes it all it takes is that one word, and it could lead another person to a dark path. They could feel so shitty about themselves. They could, God forbid, kill themselves. Like you don't realize that that simple wording that you used and or what you said to you can't take back words. That's one thing. Once it's said, it's out there. There's no taking it back.
I,
So,
I was reading some stuff earlier, and just stuff in the news about COVID and everything that's gone on this year, and I came across the suicide rate, which took a serious jump from last year. Like last
mm,
year it was about 800K. This year it was in the millions.
wow.
And I'm not saying that's all due to, you know, this type of thing, but it's just a lot of it stems from the different kind of things people go through that they keep with them. I'm sure somebody in those millions, if not more, somebody said the wrong thing to them, and it just people were making them hate themselves, and it's just that should never. I mean, it's not something that's gonna stop. People are still gonna be people. That's why I like to talk about ways to deal with this type of situation in a positive way because a lot of people aren't strong enough to do so.
But what about those narcissistic abuse people that
Oh,
are abused?
narcissists.
Yeah, they're abused by narcissists, and those are the people who, they're always right,
That's most
always right.
often where it stems from as well. Yeah.
And yeah, they anything that you say is not at their level, but you have to trust and believe everything that they say is law, and that you have to be worthy of this person, that they're the only person that knows anything, and
You're hitting it
I-
right on the nose.
and you know what? It's a shame because I did knew a female and beautiful person, beautiful soul, but she always dated these narcissistic people, and you would just want to kind of like shake her out of it. Be like, when are you just gonna stop? I don't know if it goes back to that emotional abuse that, she had a lot of emotional abuse growing up
Yeah.
and verbal abuse that
So then
you just
you
don't
start to feel like, hey, it's normal, or I can handle this.
yeah, when they can't. They clearly can't. It shows and it might not show every day, they might have a smile on their face constantly, but yet you're in my house crying up a storm for 2 hours over something that someone said to you. So clearly, words do hurt you as much as you say that they don't. And I listen, anyone who tells you words don't hurt me is full of shit. I'm sorry. It really is. Because
Yeah,
there
exactly.
is,
Like I said, like I can, like for me, for instance, I can handle it, but deep down, like you still feel that it's almost like a punch to the gut, I guess.
yeah, you still feel it resonates
No
with
matter
you.
how
It's
strong
still
you
going to
are.
do
Yeah.
it. And you could be, you could be that hardcore goddess, but we all
And then
know,
depending to the level of person too, because If their level of importance to you is low or high, that also plays a factor.
Yeah. And that emotional and verbal abuse, if you're getting it as a kid, it does come up when you're an adult because you are always going to feel less. Your worth is not good. You're not good enough for this. You're not good enough for this project. You're not good enough for this promotion. You're always going to have self-doubt. When you know deep down you do have what it takes. You just have to, then you become your own roadblock. And it's because of that.
Yeah.
People don't realize, even as parents, sometimes I'm a parent of three. I've said this numerous times. Sometimes I have to catch myself with what I even say to my children or how I approach things. Because, sometimes if I'm not with it and I'm just like not in the mood, I have to express it and say, yo, I'm just not with it today. I'm not feeling well, guys. Leave me the hell alone. Because then if you catch me on, and it's my little one always, to catch me when I'm just not, when I'm just not in the mood, and then he'll catch me at the wrong moment, and he is the king of knowing the wrong moment because that's when he comes and annoys me or whatever, and then I'll snap, and then later on I'm like, I'm sorry, I snapped, and that takes a lot for me to say I'm sorry. Let me tell you, it really does. But I have to realize that I'm leaving an impression on this child because then if he grows up, he's not going to be able to talk to females or know how to
Yeah.
approach them because he's going to feel like, oh my God, I can't approach her because I don't know what to say because every time I say something, I'm going to get shot down. Or,
Yeah.
it does come up as you get older. It really does. Whether you could be hardcore, like God, as I say, you could say, I'm strong, I can handle it, but no one knows, all right, she's strong, whatever, we tough skin. But not for nothing. Sometimes when I'm home, I'm crying a little something, something, or I'm feeling a type of way. It does affect people. It really does. And anyone who says that they're not affected by words or, oh please, I don't give a shit what people think about me, or this hardcore attitude, like I don't give two Fs about anything. Like, stop. You really do. The person who says that the most, they care the most. I'm gonna put it out there because it's the truth. I have
Yeah.
not come across a person who always claims that they're so strong and they could do this and nothing phases them, and they're the first one to cry.
Yeah.
Well, I call bullshit because
Or
that's what
either
it is.
that or it's just building up inside and they don't know how unhealthy that is.
Absolutely, and it is because then that's an
Creates monsters.
abuse in itself.
So if you're
Because
done, Yadi, we're gonna bring this to a close. So
yes, ma'am,
thank
it
you
was
guys
nice
for
chatting.
listening. Thank you for
Yes.
being here. And I hope everybody has a happy new year.
All right. Happy New Year. And if I don't
Don't
speak to
forget to
you, well, I will
subscribe.
speak to you.
Don't forget to subscribe, BMF Goddess. May the force be with y'all. Good night.
Good night. All right. Bye.